Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 2 of what if Naruto was super smart and emotionless, guys. Remember to get this one too 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels if you're new. Yes, I indeed have 4 more channels. All the links will be down in the description. So go ahead and check out Anime King 2, Anime King 3, Anime Prince, and Anime Symbol. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification so you can see when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Let us begin the intro, guys. So, the last part that we left off, a vastly powerful man was hidden away on a large island. The island was surrounded by nothing but a massive ocean. There was no other island in sight. He had guards posted almost every single location, so he did not worry about his safety. This man had some rather damning information that would get him a lot of money. However, a lot more people require and want this information. That is why this person was sent there. He was somehow able to get on the island without using any boats. However, being a ninja, that wasn't so hard. But the way he executed his plan, he cut down almost all of the guards in his path without setting off any alarms. He was like a shadow in the night, moving through the darkness, no one knowing where he was, no one knowing that he even existed. When he finally came across where the location was, the man heard his daughter crying as the boy appeared behind him, kunai at his throat. He told him to get the information. Once he did, he released him. However, inside of his daughter's room, as his wife came in, she saw something. The man's eyes widened as the entire building was set ablaze by a massive explosion. The whole family was wiped away, and the child escaped in the darkness. He wasn't so much of a child though, he was 15 years old. He had spiky blonde hair, blue eyes, as his gaze seemed so empty. We then skipped towards the Hidden Leaf Village. Danzo Sharamura watched as Naruto, one of his best operatives, appeared, kneeling to him as he handed him the information that he so much desired. Danzo told Naruto that it was time for him to return back to the light. Danzo had informed Naruto about his plan on overthrowing Hiruzen for him to take the title. Naruto seemed to show no sympathy for the old Hokage, as he was just doing his job. Skipping towards the office as Hiruzen was waiting to meet with the boy. His name was Naruto Namikaze. He was the son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. This boy was born 2 years before the Nine Tails attack. They were a good little family until they were going to have a second child, a girl. However, she was killed. Yes, she was killed during the Nine Tail attack. Naruto was taken by his father. Not many know what happened there, but when they arrived, the child had a seal on his stomach, and the girl, she was no longer with them. Hiruzen was so heartbroken that he could barely look at the small child as she was taken to the morgue. Hiruzen then spent the remaining years retaking the title as Hokage and bringing the village back up. Hearing about the death of Minato, countless past enemies of his came out of the woodwork They would like to execute his son to get rid of the bloodline. Hiruzen believed that he had no choice as he handed Naruto over to Danzo, believing that Danzo would be able to properly train him so that he could better protect himself. But now, as the boy entered his office, he looked so much more mature, but his eyes seemed so empty. However, Hiruzen tests him and it turns out that he indeed have emotions. Well, that was good, as it was time for him to return back to the light as Naruto Namikaze. Going off to the apartment that was assigned to him, Naruto was having a conversation with a voice in his head. The voice seemed rather humorful, and it liked to watch Naruto interact with the outside world, it seems. Knowing what kind of man he was on the inside, but the man he was pretending to be. After all, Danzo had gave him a mission to complete on what he needed to do. It wasn't long before Naruto met his teammates that would be joining his team, one of them being Sasuke Uchiha. As the kids in the class were surprised that someone was joining them so late, but they couldn't really do anything about it. On the day of the graduation, Naruto was summoned. It seems like despite stepping from the shadows, he was still a part of it. Naruto was sent after Mizuki, as he was told about the traitor. There was no room for traitors within the village. Naruto annihilated him rather easily. With that said and done, Naruto was able to meet his Jonin sensei, Kakashi Hatake. Kakashi spoke to him one side, as he was a student of Minato and he was rather close to Minato and Kushner, but Naruto simply waved it off. The both of them had a lot to do, and time was just not in the favors for either of them. So he was okay. Sakura figured that she would get to know Naruto. When the day finally came, they were there. As they were ready for the tests, Naruto was pretty smart as he instantly knew. Well, he already knew what was going to take place, so it wasn't hard to speak to them on the behalf of the two tests. They decided to take him up on that. Naruto took on Kakashi. Kakashi soon realized that this kid was something else. Granted, he was just 2 years older than the other Genins, but his skills was far, far above them. The bell was taken from Kakashi, he believed, but to his shock it was a genjutsu as he handed Naruto the bell without even knowing. He was shocked that the child was able to do that when he realized that Naruto used wind manipulation to affect his hearing. This child was something. We then skip towards the unknown area where a young girl was currently assassinating a rather large man. However, what made this girl special was the marks on her cheeks, which were similar to Naruto. 3 whisker marks. So yeah guys, basically let's left off. You guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself, and don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs of the other channels. So how about we jump right into this brand new episode begin? Now guys, we begin this episode in an underground location. A young girl was making her way calmly as she was holding a scroll in her left hand as she finally stepped into the chambers where her master lay. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, and 3 whisker marks on both of her cheeks. She went down to one knee as the person waved his hand for her to raise. She got back to her feet. She placed a scroll on a table in front of him. The man reached for it to reveal that it was none other than Orochimaru of the Sannin. He picked up the scroll as he opened it, his eyes flicking over everything inside. "Excellent work, he said. The girl now identified as she, which meant death. She remained as stoic as ever. "Why don't you go and get some rest? This one was a long one," the Sannin said to her. "Yes sir," she said, as she calmly walked away. Orochimaru watched her leave as he returned back to what he was doing, having the new scroll in his hand which he stored away. The young girl known as She made her way towards her quarters as she sat down on the bed. She took off her sandals. As she took off the strange black body armor and placed it to the side. She was 13 years old. Her cryptsy blue eyes gazed around the room before she plopped down on the bed. As she took a relaxing breath and closed her eyes, and simply went to sleep. Time skip. Hiruzen had Kakashi report back to him on how Naruto was doing and how he was socializing to being back in the public eye view. A lot of people had come across him, a lot of people had spoken to him, and all of those interactions ended with the people leaving happy. Kakashi did not know how to exactly phrase it though. He seemed alright. He was extremely talented, but there was just something that he was lacking. He seemed to show emotions, but yet something was not there that Kakashi just could not put his finger on. As Hiruzen had Kakashi watching the boy thoroughly, while Danzo did a good job on making sure that he could protect himself. Danzo had created this perfect soldier, and yet he released him so easily without a fuss. Hiruzen knew that he was a Hokage and what he said get done, but Danzo was a man that always tried to go around things and go around his back. But in this situation, it didn't seem that way. Team 7 was getting along for the most part. Naruto was always neutral in their conversation. Despite being the older one, Sakura was always fawning over Sasuke, who ignored her. Today was a special day though. Team 7 was making their way. The client in front of them, his name was Tazuna. After 1 month and 2 weeks of nothing but D ranks, they were finally given a C rank. They were escorting Tazuna towards the land of Wave, as Sakura was busy discussing with Kakashi and the client about the land of Wave not having ninjas to protect them. Sasuke had his eyes keenly focused and open as he surveyed the surrounding areas, as he was trying to find the so-called bandits and thugs that would try to rob them. He was itching to test his skills on a real enemy, just to see how far he has reached. After all, he needs to know about his strength and how much he has grown, so when the time comes he can use that strength to get revenge on that bastard. He glanced behind him slightly as he supposed that this team was not the worstest team that he could get. Sakura constantly asking him out. That was getting on his nerves, yes. However, Naruto wasn't that bad. Not to say that they had this deep-seated friendship or they were good friends, but at least he wasn't annoying and he could pull his own. So Sasuke kind of respected that. Then again, he was no normal person, now was he? He was the son of one of their strongest Hokages. So if he was not strong, he would have been a huge disappointment. As Sasuke was rambling in his mind, he paid no attention towards the puddle that was in front of him. Naruto was calm as ever as he saw the puddle. His mind was relaxed as he walked past it. He already knew that there were 2 ninjas located in that puddle. The problem was, they should not be here. But Naruto wondered, were they going after Kakashi or were they going after the client? It seems like Kakashi was curious as well, Naruto thought. Sakura heard something as she spun around, so did Sasuke. The demon brother emerged. One on the left, one on the right. They wrapped the chain around their sensei. Sakura's eyes went wide as they tore him apart. She screamed. Miyaizu spoke up first. 1 down as Gozu spoke next. 4 left to go. I see. Miyaizu heard the voice behind him. So you're not here just for Kakashi bounty. Miyaizu turned, and that was the last thing that he ever did. Gozu's eyes went wide as he saw his brother's throat split clean open. Gozu couldn't believe what he just witnessed. In an instant, Naruto was in front of Gozu. He pushed him with a ferocity and sent him right into a tree. Dozens of leaves falling off said tree. Naruto pinned him against it as he stomped on the chain. He had a black Tonto in his hand. Sakura was shocked as she saw the dead body. Sasuke was shocked by the speed as Kakashi looked down from where he was. You two are the demon brothers, said Naruto. I'm not sure which one is which, but Miyaizu and Gozu. I suppose there is only one left. You guys normally work with Zabuza and Mamakai. Tell me, why are you here? Screw you, said Gozu. Wrong answer. Naruto drive the blade through his shoulder. Gozu screamed out as Naruto tore it out. I'm gonna ask you one more time. Why are you here, said Naruto. And you better answer me correctly or otherwise I'll cause you pain that you can't even fathom to understand. Gozu simply glared at Naruto though, refusing to say. Remember, said Naruto, I gave you a out. He slammed his hand over Gozu's mouth. There was a buildup of chakra as Gozu's eyes went wide. Gozu started to scream but no words came as Naruto held his mouth shut. Gozu started to tremble as there was blood appearing all over him. Kakashi arrived and grabbed Naruto's hand. Naruto's hand was vibrating like crazy. Stop it, he said, as he glanced over his shoulder. Naruto glanced over as he saw Sakura and Sasuke. They both looked terrified. As Sakura, her face was green like she was about to puke. Kakashi would like to introduce them to this world, but Naruto was doing it in a way that he did not like at all. Gozu collapsed down to the ground, puking up his insides as there was nothing but blood puking up out of his mouth as he was in terrible pain. Kakashi grabbed him as he grabbed the other dead body and moved off. Naruto turned as he stepped forward. Sakura stepped back. Even the client looked terrified. I sincerely apologize, said Naruto, if my more darker actions affect you both mentally. Sasuke was affected, but being him, he'd shrug it off. I'm fine. Next time just leave someone for me to fight. Naruto turned towards Sakura. She took a gulp. I'm fine, she said. I'm glad, said Naruto, his face as calm as ever as he looked up towards the client. I presume that you lied about the mission and why we're truly here. What? I have no idea. Don't lie to me, said Naruto. His words stopped Kazuna in his tracks. I'll ask you once more, and it will be in your best interest to tell me the truth. What is truly going on? Kazuna's knees started to tremble as he collapsed down to them. Fine, I lied, he said. He started to spill his guts. I see, said Naruto, as Kazuna told him that Gato was plaguing their land for so long, and he couldn't afford a high rank mission. What you did is a great crime. After all, an inexperienced group of Genins could have been slaughtered, and your actions that you take have great consequences. Kakashi arrived as he stopped Naruto once again. He appeared in front of him. Relax, he said. Naruto's demeanor completely changed. Okay, sensei, he said, as he was completely relaxed. Kakashi gave him a second look before he turned. Kazuna started to tell him everything. Kakashi saw what was going to happen a moment ago. Naruto was going to kill Kazuna. It seems the boy, because of his training to be strict and follow the rules, he was going to abide by it. It doesn't matter what it takes to do so. Kakashi was feeling a bit overwhelmed by this decision on taking them along with him. Sasuke was eager to go though, as he wanted to prove himself. Sakura break under peer pressure because Sasuke wants to go. And the last one, Kazuna believed that Naruto was going to say no. Well, if this is what you believe we should, then yes, said Naruto. They were surprised by that, as he did not seem pleased earlier, as Kakashi simply nodded. But he was going to send word back to the village though, although he doubted that, with him and Naruto here, that they could not handle any threat that posed itself. So with that, the group decided to continue on. They arrived as there was a man that took them across the sea. Upon getting across, he wished them farewell and good luck as they proceeded to make their way. The mist was very heavy in this section. You could barely see a few feet ahead of you. The group came to a stop when they overheard something. Glancing towards A pile of bushes. However, it was only a rabbit that hopped out. Kakashi still felt it though, the uneasy. He then heard the sound coming towards them. Everyone, get down, he yelled, tackling Tazuna down to the ground. Everyone quickly ducked for cover as a blade spun overhead. It slammed into a large tree. A man appeared on the handle. No wonder the demon brothers failed to accomplish their task. Kakashi Hatake, the man that is said to have copied over 1,000 jutsus. Zabuza Mamakai stood on top of his blade looking down towards Kakashi. Zabuza Mamakai, the demon of the mist. You know, your name was in our bingo book. A kill on sight order. It will be an honor for you to fall at my blade. Unfortunately, I have a job to do, so I can't allow you to accomplish your task. Kakashi raised the headband. Ah, so I get to see the famous Sharingan right on the spot. Sharingan? Sakura said as she glanced up. Sasuke looked shocked, one of few to possess said eyes. I must say, I'm honored, Zabuza said with a smirk. What's the Sharingan? Sakura asked. The Sharingan, Sasuke said, as he started to explain what it was. Throughout all of this, Naruto was simply gazing around. The mist started to increase. Formation V around Tazuna. Now, Kakashi said, as he looked around. You know, there are several areas I can strike first. The bloodlust that reeked from Zabuza started to affect Sasuke greatly. This is what it felt like to face off against a real ninja. His hands were shaking. His body was trembling. Sasuke looked at Sakura, who looked terrified. He gazed towards Naruto, who seemed... What? Naruto was completely unaffected. How is that possible? He felt like the world was clashing down on his shoulders, and yet Naruto did not seem bothered in the slightest. Was the gap between them that large? Was it really that humongous? Sasuke wondered to himself. Sasuke. His gaze was snapped towards Kakashi. There's nothing for you to worry about, Kakashi said as he saw Sasuke kunai hand trembling too much. I won't let anything happen to any of my comrades. Well, that's where you're wrong, Zabuza said, as he appeared right in the center of the group. Years of instincts kicked in. As Zabuza jumped away, blood splashed on the ground. The client fell over. Tazuna was trembling. Zabuza looked down towards his chest. The strap that was making an X in his chest was cut. There was a long line traveling from his right bicep going down towards his left waist. Zabuza was shocked as there was blood running down. His reaction time was the only thing that saved him, otherwise the blade would have cut much deeper. As Naruto stood there, Kakashi arrived as Naruto turned. Upon moving, his hands went through hand signs so fast that it was barely visible. Naruto then launched his blade like a bullet. The blade was covered in wind chakra, it seems. The metal was made for absorbing. As the thing cut through several trees, forcing someone to jump out of their hiding spot towards the side. How much? Kakashi asked, understanding Naruto's action. Just one. I'm not sure who it is, but he always has a subordinate with him. We can't allow them to intervene after we put an end to Zabuza. I can handle the threat, as long as these two keep the client safe and you finish him on your part, said Naruto. Kakashi surveyed the surrounding area as he listened to Naruto's words. Alright, fine, he said. You two, keep Tazuna safe. The moment he said that, both him and Naruto vanished. Haku, who was watching from the trees, felt it. Haku quickly jumped down. The blade that was embedded in the final tree was pulled out and sliced towards him. He manipulated wind chakra so flawlessly that Haku was shocked. Haku flipped and landed as Naruto landed a few feet away from him. So you're his assailant, huh? Figure that you would watch and wait for your time to intervene. Haku realized the jig was up. How did you know I was here? He said, surprised. Unfortunately, that's a secret I'm gonna keep to myself. So that's bad for you, he said. How about we make a deal? Tell me where Gato is located, and I'll allow you to live. I'm afraid I can't do that. Our mission is to execute the bridge builder, and if you get in our way, we will. Haku was cut off as Naruto was done talking. He pulled back. The mask was sliced. If the mask had not been there and his face was in the same position, his nose would have been slashed out. The mask fell, the lower half. Haku removed the top half so it wouldn't be a problem with his quick movement. But this person, he was fast, incredibly so. This was not turned out as they expected. Naruto took off once again as Haku was shocked. Their eyes met as Naruto slashed. Powerful ice needles were formed in his hand, but they were shattered upon impact. Naruto slammed the right heel into his chest plate, throwing him back. Naruto appeared above and brought his blade down. Haku forged a mirror as Naruto cut clean through it, but the delay allowed Haku to roll as Naruto twists. Haku saw the leaf on the ground blow away as Naruto moved and slammed his heel in Haku's face. His body bounced off the ground as he slammed into a tree. Naruto rushed forward. That is when he heard something. His lapse, as he staggered for a moment, allowed Haku to get back to his feet. Naruto saw Kakashi, captured in a water bubble, across the distance. Sakura and Sasuke now forced to fight. Naruto watched Sasuke use a fireball as he burned up the water clone to evaporate. Naruto turned his gaze back to Haku. Their life meant nothing to him. He then paused when he realized that he couldn't allow the Uchiha to die. Haku used the opportunity to shoot past Naruto, believing that if he killed the bridge builder right here and now, they would no longer have to fight and they could just leave. Uchiha! Naruto called out. As Sasuke dealt with the last water clone that was coming towards him, there were still 3 more. He had just taken down 1. Sasuke turned as he saw someone rushing towards him at blinding speed. He was shocked as Haku held out the needles, ready to knock Sasuke down to get to Tazuna. Sakura's eyes widened. In that moment, Sasuke was paralyzed in fear, as he felt like he was outclassed, like he wasn't able to do anything. And that brought memories of his older brother and the words he told him that night. He refused. He refused to just lie down and let people walk over him anymore. The sudden rush of chakra awakened inside of his brain. His eyes changed. However, despite his newly awakened Sharingan, his body was not fast enough as he was knocked away, like he was a mere pebble. Haku was locked on. Sakura wouldn't make it in time, and she wouldn't be able to block it. These were no longer ice needles, these were real, solid steel needles that would pierce right through Tazuna's skull and end his life quickly so they could leave. It was over. Haku was baffled when something shot past him. He couldn't believe it. His wrists were grabbed. Haku couldn't believe it. That was not humanly possible. He had the head start. Haku didn't want to sound cocky, but his speed was truly amazing, and yet he not only beat him, he reached him and catch his hands. Just who in the world? Naruto yanked the hands down before cracking his knee in Haku's chin. Haku was in mid-air for a brief moment. Unfortunately, Naruto was no longer with his blade. Haku twisted his body slightly, realizing if he did not, he felt the force. His cheek was ripped open. If he did not twist, his head would have been blown clean off by the wind pressure. Blood splattered all over as Naruto pushed Tazuna down to the ground and flipped over him. The three water clones that were coming were teared apart. With the wind chakra, Naruto flashed through hand sign at an immense speed before he slammed his hand on the ocean. The water spiraled. Zabuza cursed as the water turned into a vortex and started to pull him inside. He had no choice but to jump away. Naruto brought his hand up as two needles stabbed right into his hand, blocking them from his face and neck. Haku landed holding on to his cheek. Naruto tore the needles out and rushed towards Haku. He realized he didn't have a choice. He activated his most deadliest jutsu as Naruto saw the confinement. Going through two hand signs, he sent Tazuna and Sakura sailing away. They crashed away to the side as the technique did not caught them. Naruto looked around. Haku was no longer in the mood to say a word, realizing that he had to end this quickly. He appeared in all of the mirrors and started to barrage Naruto with needles. Hundreds of needles coming from all over. Naruto jumped and flipped and leaped. However, two of them stabbed into his leg. That is when he pulled a scroll. He slammed his hand on top of it. Poof! Two Kizarigama appeared as Naruto gripped the chains. The sickle blade started to spin in his hand. They started to move so fast all you could see was the blur. Naruto deflected every single needle that was thrown his way as he blocked and deflected every single one of them. Haku kept on raining down barrages as he saw his opening. The real Haku made a play, appearing a few feet in front of Naruto, hoping to end this. To his surprise though, he saw Naruto's left eye, and something was not right. His eye changed. Haku saw it. A special contact lens that covered what was truly underneath. As he saw the red glow, just for a second. This was not an opening, he allowed him to see this. Haku was fast as he tried to get back to the mirror, but Naruto beat him to it. Haku looked down when the sickle was at the back of his heel as Naruto pulled. The blade tore right through his heel. The pain tore through him. However, the other sickle slammed right into his chest. Haku was shocked as he couldn't believe it. Naruto sped forward. As Haku saw him inches away from him, Naruto grabbed the sickle that tore through his ankle and placed at his throat before he yanked. For a brief moment, Haku was able to still see reality until utter darkness claimed him. The headless body collapsed before the head did. The mirrors started to fall apart as they melted over to the other side. Can you see in the future? Yes, I can. And what I see is your death. Kakashi beat Zabuza to his own technique and sent him sailing in a tree. Zabuza tried to rise back to his feet, however Kakashi arrived and shoved the kunai deep into his throat. The man collapsed down. He started to gargle for a few minutes as Kakashi pulled the blade out and slammed it in his chest. Zabuza spat up blood. His body trembled for a light moment before it slowly stopped moving. Kakashi took a deep breath. He glanced over as he saw Naruto standing there, the tool sickle in his hand, dripping blood. However, a moment later he collapsed. Naruto created two clones as they got the bodies. Naruto walked over and picked up the giant blade as Kakashi was out cold on the ground. Naruto showed surprising strength despite the blade being extremely large. but he picked it up easily. He brought a scroll out before he sealed the blade inside. As one of the clones came back and picked up Kakashi, the group was shocked. Is it over? Sakura asks. Yes, everything's alright now. You're safe. Sasuke was both angry and amazed by what he just witnessed. His Sharingan allowed him to see things that normal people wouldn't be able to see. Naruto's back was turned to him, so he could not see Naruto's face throughout the interaction, but he was baffled by the speed and force that Naruto had over him. He thought that Naruto was special, but this was beyond anything he could ever imagine. Tazuna-san, said Naruto. Yes, Tazuna said. Would you mind showing us? To your house, said Naruto. Yeah, right this way, Tazuna said. Feeling a bit nervous. He didn't know what it was about this kid, but, well, at least he saved them. And the threat was now taken care of. Time skip. Kakashi slowly opened his one eye as he groaned slightly, causing movement to his left. Sensei, you're weak. Sakura, he said, feeling rather exhausted. Sakura seemed to release a sigh of relief. That he was alright. Where are the others? Well, Naruto gave all of us jobs to do. He told me to stay here and inform him when you wake up. And he took Sasuke outside. I'll go and tell them, she said, as she quickly made her way downstairs. She came back a moment later with Sasuke and Naruto right after. Kakashi was pleased to see that everything was alright. Sensei, what happened to you? Sakura said. Naruto said it was chakra exhaustion, but you were fighting for the same time as Naruto, so why isn't he exhausted? Sasuke narrowed his gaze. It's the Sharingan, isn't it? Your body is not suited to wield the eye, he said, looking down towards the man. That's correct, said Kakashi. It takes a huge stress and toll on me whenever I use a Sharingan. A long time ago, I heard that someone had passed a Sharingan gift on to someone else. I presume that was you, Sasuke said. Yes, my teammate. He was a Uchiha. Before he died, he gave me one of his Sharingans. Sasuke had nothing more to say on the issue. At first, he didn't know how to feel about this, but this was actually a good thing. Kakashi and him had more in common than he thought. Granted, he wasn't a full Uchiha, but at least he could teach him a thing or two, now that he had his Sharingan activated. Naruto, I presume that you border off all the perimeters, Kakashi said. It is done, said Naruto as he sat down right on the windowsill. The second objective of this mission is currently underway, said Naruto. Second objective? Kakashi said as he narrowed his gaze. The hunt and elimination of Gato. What? Said Kakashi as Tazuna came in the room. What's going on? Is he okay? Tazuna asks. Naruto, what are you doing? Said Kakashi. I am simply fulfilling the mission that we're currently doing, said Naruto. Protecting Tazuna is one thing, but going after Gato is another. There are reasons why he's able to pull off certain things that he does, and people don't get in his way, he said. I did not authorize this. As Naruto looked at him, he turned towards Tazuna. When the bridge is completed, what will happen? Well, we will no longer need anything retaining to Gato to get our business done. But that doesn't really make sense, Naruto said. What? Of course it do. If you complete the bridge, what's stopping Gato from simply blowing it up, said Naruto. And once he does that, all of the material, all of the time would be nothing but a waste. Allowing Gato to live will be a rather foolish choice. He's located on the third island away from this one. I presume. That location once belonged to the daimyo of this region. However, it is now controlled by Gato and his people. So to stop all of this, his execution will have to commence, or otherwise, all of your plots, all of your plans would be for nothing, said Naruto. Tazuna had never really thought about that. He believed that he would be protected, but in the long run, what's stopping Gato from simply targeting the bridge? Yes, it would cause public view from others, but by then he could already take over the Land of Wave completely and kill those that stand in his way. Throughout all of this, his mind had never focused on the long term. He just saw the future goals ahead of him. Kakashi noticed something about Naruto's words. "You're not here, are you?" he said. "The perimeter is secure. I made sure there was no known other alias of Gato around." "Where are you?" Kakashi said. Sakura was confused. What was their sensei talking about? Naruto was standing right here. As Sasuke realized it was what he did earlier. That more advanced technique of the clone jutsu. The clones that could interact with the surrounding area. They were physical clones, and Naruto was able to perform them. Sakura had no idea that even existed. She thought the basic clone jutsu was it, and that's all, but she was wrong. The original has reached a location. He's in striking distance to end all of this. Is it your order that he return back home and stop his mission? Wait, Tazuna said. You can't tell him to stop. He's right. If this bridge is completed and Gato destroys it, any small piece of hope that we have remaining will be gone. Please, let him do this. It's the only way to finally get rid of him, Tazuna begged, as his daughter Tsunami was behind him as she made her way upstairs. Kakashi didn't know what to say about this, sending Naruto into the belly of the beast. He realized that Naruto wasn't your average genin, but still, he was by himself. He was chosen to be the team leader so that he could watch over them. And here he was, unable to move. He wanted to know something though. How are you receiving this information? Another clone is created and dispelled, along with the original for all to get the information. Kakashi realized that was a very smart move on how to send information from long distances. As he looked at Naruto for a long moment, not saying anything. The whole mission would be a waste if Gato eventually destroyed the bridge, and these people here, they will be erased. Gato would try to cover up anything that might lead to another downfall, so this might be the only opportunity that they have. And the moment he finds out about Zabuza and his apprentice, there is no telling who he will hire to come after them. Kakashi had to put it into his mind that Naruto wasn't your average genin. Kakashi had had a conversation along with Hiruzen and Danzo was there. And Danzo gave Naruto high praises, so fine, the copy ninja said. End this. Tazuna breathed a sigh of relief, happy to hear that. Sasuke was not pleased that he was not being brought in on the action. It shall be done, said Naruto. Meanwhile, the sun was going down outside. A distance away, Naruto stood in a tree as he watched the perimeter up ahead. His gaze swept over the place as he could pinpoint several people near the exit and the entrance as well. Majority of them were as far back. However, none of them posed even a threat in the slightest. There was no need to go into this with any secrecy. Now that's what I'm talking about. Having a little bit of explosive fun. The voice in his head spoke up. Your taste for explosion always amazed me by how much you dive into that role, said Naruto. Explosion and chaos is always fun. Especially when your enemies realize that they have no way to run and they're doomed. And they have no idea what exactly is coming after them. The moment you arrive on this island, their life was forfeited after all. You presume me to be death. Coming in and taking life and leaving with them, said Naruto. Well, if there was any fair representation of yourself, that would be correct. I presume you're right. It is not the first time one has said that to me, said Naruto. And they're right. Because there is no other shinobi in existence that is what you are. Now, let the fun begin. The voice in his head said with a chuckle, ready to enjoy what he was about to witness. Naruto jumped down as he approached the massive gates. Upon doing so, halt! Two of the guards came out with spears as they pointed towards Naruto. Who are you? What are you doing here? Wind style, said Naruto as he raised his hand. The both of them rushed forward. Catalyst bomb. His stomach buff, his chest buff. He then slammed his stomach and his chest at the same time. A violent eruption of wind sprayed from his mouth. It came out like a force, like a solid force of iron, slamming into the two guards. Their bodies and the gate was torn asunder as they were thrown, breaking through and falling inside. Naruto then started to run. He brought out the two sickles as he started to twirl them. He threw one of them as it stabbed into a building as he pulled himself up, using a chain as he ran on top of the building. Two of the thugs jumped up to meet him, however they fell without their heads. As Naruto saw several shurikens and kunais being thrown towards him, he flipped off one of the buildings. He twisted mid-air and threw the Kizuragama. It tear through a guy's throat as Naruto yanked him forward and used his body as a shield to block several more attacks coming his way. He then tossed the body aside as he landed right into a guy's face. The force that he kicked down with cracked the guy's skull. Naruto flipped up in the air as he pulled out several kunais, wind style. Gale palm, he said as he launched them. The wind amplified the force. Heads were split as bodies collapsed down to the ground. Meanwhile, in the main office of the area, what the hell is going on, said Gato as he started to walk down the hall, his two main guards by his side, the both of them already gripping their weapons rather tightly. I don't know who the hell is here, but get everyone. Stop them now, he yelled. Yes, sir, the man to his right said as he rushed off. He went towards the eating hall where many of the other men were, as he quickly shouted at them to get moving. The doors were bursted open as all kind of thugs, some of them with first-hand ninja training, rushing out. They were like a tsunami as they emerged with their weapons. As Naruto was standing there, waiting on them, Naruto went through 5 hand signs as he built up his chakra. Wind style, he said, slashing wind skill. Naruto started to spin the sickles in his hands so fast that they started to generate pressure. Everyone was shocked when they saw said pressure build into something. As the both of them fused together, it was a violent tornado. It started to rip and tear the area apart as Naruto released it. Many of them started to scream and run for the hills as hundreds of them were pulled inside. The tornado was massive. None of them possessed the force to dissipate the technique. Slashing wind blades were inside as they ripped and tore. The ones that were lucky enough they survived, with grave wounds, but the others, their head was split open, their chest was caved open, their body was sliced apart. Naruto stood there. He was not even that tired. He had a vast reservoir of chakra. And not to mention, over the years, he has learned how to compress that chakra down into his techniques to not use so much chakra and waste it. Naruto reached as he pulled out an explosive and threw the kunai. It went off right in the center. The explosion was sucked up by the wind and it combined, creating a burning, spinning tornado. Gato ran back inside in fear as he locked the doors behind him. He had to get away as he was taking the secret underground passageway that led to the other island. It ran underground. The short man ran for his life as best as he could. He ran, holding his cane in his hand. That is when Gato heard something above him. The underground passageway was like a large pipe. It was steel. What the hell was that? Gato felt something drip. It flew and dripped on his face. Water? Boom! The entire thing was destroyed as the water came, rushing in. Gato tried to hold his breath as he saw something. One blue eye, glistening, searching, and the other red, cryptic, powerful eye gazing down towards him. Gato tried to flee and hold his breath at the same time. However, he was grabbed. He was running out of air. There Naruto stood underwater. However, there was a bubble around his head. His two mismatched eyes looking deep into Gato's. The man struggled and fight. He tried to punch and kick. He could no longer hold his breath as he turned blue. He finally released it. As the water started to fill his lungs, Naruto simply held him there as he died right in his hand. Naruto then flew back upwards using the wind to propel him out of the water. As he jumped and climbed on top of the mansion, his clothes a bit wet, he brought his hand up as his whole body released a pulse of chakra, followed by a devastating wind blast that dried his clothing, at the same time blowing away the tiles off the roof. As Naruto stood there calmly, with the deceased corpse of Gato in his right hand, he brought his hand up to his face, and his two blue eyes were back and visible to the world. Naruto proceeded to jump down as he started to walk. There were many screams and many crying. Laughter could be heard inside of his head at the chaos that they caused. Naruto simply walked away, allowing the dead to die, allowing those that might survive. There was a 10% chance, maybe less. As he proceeded to leave the area, time skip. It was nighttime. Everyone was confused when they heard a loud noise. Most were afraid to go outside as they peeped through their window when they saw someone standing there. "I'm a shinobi from the Hidden Leaf. There is nothing to fear," he said. Team 7, Tazuna and Tsunami, even Tsunami young boy Inyere, could be seen making their way, as the clone had told them what was going on, and that Naruto was returning. Many people started to emerge out of their spots. As Naruto was holding something, he threw it down to the ground. This was the man that was plaguing you all. This was the man that has hurt all of you. But no longer. Today he draw his final breath. So you are all safe. You're all free. Everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it as Naruto dropped the corpse and started to walk away. "Now why did you do that?" The voice in his head spoke. "Remember, I have to play my part. To present a good front. Like I actually care about these people and their well-being. What's a better way to do so than to save them from the man that has been hounding them for years now? Even if Hatake is against my actions, I can still prove my case that I was doing this for the people I saw and the suffering that they've been through. So I believe that I can make my actions genuine to prove that I am a good person." "When you are not," the voice said. The understanding and meaning of that word has been lost due to time. "Tell me, what is a good person?" Naruto asks. "Well, it is hard to say, but you're definitely not a good person. Although, in an extent you are, because all you do is follow orders and do as you're told. You don't break rules, unless you are told to do so. So yes, in an example, you are a good person." The voice told him. "So yes, the word has lost meaning," said Naruto. As he walked away, the people had begged to know the name of their savior, which was released by Sakura. Naruto was being hounded by these people. He played his part well, even cracking a tiny smile when he can, showing that he support them. Kakashi was watching him keenly, and Kakashi could not see any flaw in the way he carried himself, but there was just something that was bothering the copy ninja. Years of experience told him that Naruto was not exactly what he seemed like he was. He had reprimanded Naruto for not going beyond his orders. The boy had apologized for making a move without speaking to him first as his Jonin sensei, and he was incredibly respectful in doing so. Was this a game, or perhaps the boy was actually genuine in his actions? Kakashi wasn't quite sure. However, he had to watch him carefully. There was just something about him that made Kakashi think twice about all of his actions. The bridge was named after the completion. The Great Naruto Bridge, in honor of the one that freed them. The people of the village saw him as their hero, as their savior. At the moment, the group was in the office as Naruto stood in front of Hiruzen. I'm afraid that my emotions got the best of me. I saw those people and what they were going through. Most of my actions have not been about saving others. Sakura and Sasuke were confused by that, but Hiruzen and Kakashi knew what he meant. So I made a split judgment and decided to end their suffering by giving them some relief. Freedom by getting rid of the threat, said Naruto. I apologize for breaking protocol and not informing my sensei. I will take whatever punishment is given. That's not up to me. It's up to your sensei, Hiruzen said, looking towards Kakashi. Sakura looked towards him. He wouldn't dare punish Naruto for something like that. Naruto did a good thing. Even Sasuke, who didn't agree with most people most of the times, had to agree with that. I'm just giving you a warning this time, to not go beyond your means, without informing me of what is going on, and letting me assess the situation beforehand. Naruto nodded respectfully. The children was dismissed, so the teacher and Hokage could talk. Hey, said Naruto. Thank you guys for sticking up for me in there. What? But we didn't do anything, Sasuke said. Your words did not say it, but your eyes did. Thanks for that. Well, next time, don't run off and do everything by yourself. I'm on this team as well, and I want to test my strength, Sasuke said proudly, until his stomach rumbled. Huh, seems like you need some food to keep your strength up. Tch, whatever, Sasuke said. Sakura, you coming, said Naruto. Sakura's eyes widened. She was going out to eat with Sasuke. Granted, Naruto was there, but still, this was amazing, as she seemed to have completely forgotten what happened on their recent mission. Back in the office. So, what do you think? Hiruzen said, looking towards Kakashi. I saw no deceit or lie. If he was able to fool me by just my normal eye, I would say that he was a master liar. I presume you were the same. Yes. But it's hard to tell with Naruto most of the time. Given how relaxed he is, his body doesn't give off any signal or signs, but there wasn't anything that showed that he was being dishonest. You have to keep in mind, Kakashi, that he spent the past few years in the darkness, doing what he was told, assassinating who he was assassinating. I'm sure that being a hero for once, being judged in the public eye, was something different for him entirely. I suppose you're right about that. His face, when the people named the bridge after him, he was surprised, and he seemed rather happy about that. Well then, I still want you to keep on watching him, just to make sure. Yes, sir, Kakashi said as Hiruzen dismissed him. Time skip. Naruto appeared in front of Danzo. It seems You are warming up quite well. The world is now aware of your return. That bridge that you got named after yourself has brought quite the popularity to your name. The Namikaze name has brought back all the past enemies that it has fell over the past couple of years. They're coming for you, Danzo said. This is what you were trained and prepared for, to protect yourself. And your action toward this village has gained you a lot more recognition. Many is speaking about you. Many is seeing you as a driving force, a protector of this village. So when the time comes, you will use that and stand by my side. Naruto nodded. How is things going with the Uchiha? I've befriended him. He doesn't fully trust me yet. But with more time he will, and see me as a comrade in arm, to watch his back in any situation. Good, said Danzo. You will be there to see if any traitorous thoughts form in his mind. And you can also be a change in thought for those as well. Naruto nodded. Time skip. Naruto stood on top of the apartment. As he gazed up at the heavens, there were many ninjas making their way across, rooftop to rooftop, as he simply gazed out towards the heavens and the full moon. It was so full. Tonight, a distance away, the same girl, she was in a tall hill, her blonde hair swaying behind her as a gentle breeze blew it. She had a calm look on her face as she gazed towards the heavens. She seemed so relaxed, so content with everything around her. Time skip. A man stepped into a room. There were two others inside. I presume that we're all here for the same thing. Why else would we be here? One of the other ones said. It seems our intuition was correct. They hid him until he was able to prepare himself. But it does not matter. The Namikaze shall die. All of the men seemed to be in agreement about the death of Naruto Namikaze. But guys, me and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in social media platform. And don't forget to turn on that bell notification to see exactly when I post. So without further ado or wasting more time, I'm gonna be getting the hell out of here. See you guys soon. Peace.